Business Matters with Pallavi Aluwalia. If you have any question in mind, this would be the time to call 972-235-5555. Do want you all to visit the website aluvalialaw.com. Plenty of information up there. You get the latest in immigration news. Then you have, visa bulletin and definitely number of very useful government links and plenty of other things that they share on the website, which is aluvalialaw.com. Most conveniently, you can also remember yourdesilawyer.com. And yes, all the recordings of the show, the radio shows that she does live on air with you all, is also up there in the archive. So with that, would like to welcome Pallavi on the airwaves of Fun Asia Radio, 104.9 FM. Very good morning to you. How are you?
A wonderful morning to you, Meetu. Very glad to be on your morning show this Wednesday morning with Your Business Matters. And we're here to answer questions for the community and to interact with them and hopefully be able to get them the answers that they're looking for. And always appreciate the people who call in with their questions, because their questions and the answers that we provide sometimes do help other people who have similar kind of questions. So I know we have calls that have already started to come in, so we can start answering them. Just a quick update is the H-1B season, that I call it the season, is about to start, and all of March is going to be dedicated to H-1B filings. So encourage all the people that are out there to have the LCAs filed. Be vigilant about your LC and the details that are being put into your application, and so that once your application is selected in the lottery, it does make it through and does not get denied for some silly mistake on the forms. So just make sure that that's when you're filling and following up with the company, and that's also for the company people. Just make sure that if you're a consulting company, you do have the correct set of documents specifically relating to the RFE trends that have been in the past. So be mindful and apply, and all the best to everyone.
Do appreciate that update, Pallavi. Going to our callers now, taking the first call on the air. Once again, 972-235-5555, number in the studio. You are on the air. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, my question is regarding to inquire about H2B1. Does Pallavi does those cases, or does she take, or does she has any experience regarding H2B1?
So we don't do too many H2Bs. Now this is the seasonal intermittent worker, and this particular category, which is the temporary worker program, requires a pre-certification from the government on the labor. So it's slightly a little bit long drawn, but like any other visa categories that have to be handled, of course the office is able to handle. We don't usually do these kind of cases though.
Can you recommend somebody in the town, Dallas Fort Worth, who does that H2B1?
Well, no, I mean, if you're asking an attorney for another attorney's referral, immigration attorneys,
Okay.
all of them would be able to help you out. Any immigration attorney should be able to help, including the office. Again, if you're saying that this is a particular category that you're interested in, just make sure that you understand the requirements of the category and whether there is eligibility that you as a petitioner can establish, and that would go to finding, doing some kind of a recruitment prior to obtaining the labor certification. That's a temporary labor certification, and then applying to the USCIS for that benefit. It is also subject to quotas, so you have to be aware, because that update I think was just recently posted also.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I will contact to your office. Okay?
Most welcome.
Okay.
All right. 972-361-0606 is the number to get in touch with Pallavi. You do need to take an appointment with a front desk manager. Going to our next caller, Fun Asia Radio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, this is Gopal.
Yes,
And I have a question this is the issue with my leasing office. I have an apartment with them, which was recently renewed.
Okay.
And I have took my garage in last October. I was staying with them since 1 year, and I took my additional garage
Okay.
on the same property on October, and I was storing my car along with some other stuff in the garage since then. So all of a sudden, a week ago from now, they removed all my stuff and given this garage to some other renter on the same property.
Okay.
So when I immediately gone back to them and checked with them, and now they are saying this garage is not attached to your contract, and that is what we have thrown away your stuff, and has been rented to some other renter.
Oh God. Okay. So when you
So now. Sorry, go ahead.
quick question. So when you renewed your lease, was that lease for the garage done separately, or was it part of your old lease?
It's part of the lease actually. It's in the lease addendum that one of the page speaks about this garage, and the number of the garage is clearly written.
Okay, so you have something that is signed that says that it has been extended.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so they've made an error there, and that has been pointed out to them?
Yeah, we have pointed that to them that why this has been double entered and why this garage is missing from the contract, missing in the system. They kept saying in the system it is not assigned, but as per the contract, yes, it is assigned to you. So that really doesn't make sense for me. And they kept saying you're not supposed to store other stuff other than the car in the garage, and that's what they have thrown it away.
Okay.
So they are actually, to my perception, they are bypassing the first mistake and talking about the second mistake they did.
Right.
So I just want to listen for kindly advice.
Right. So at this point, I think you'll have to just do either a strong letter to them. Of course, if there is something that you can hold to them, you could also pursue this remedy through court. However, the first step always would be to do it on a more reasonable level, and that is to send a strong letter out and ask for not only, what stuff that you have lost from there, and again, someone will have to read that contract to say what did it say. Was it only to store your car, or it was to use as you needed it? The things that they've thrown away, they had no right to, and you have to be able to ask them to pay for damages relating to that, and also to reinstate the understanding that you've already signed up on. Whether they give you an alternate garage, they need to compensate you for the damages incurred because of their throwing out of your things that were in the garage.
Actually, they trashed it. They did not take it out. They trashed it to the compressor. So everything is lost. Like 99% is lost.
Yeah, so you'll just have to calculate the value of what you lost. And then that's how the demand will have to be made. So basically, it should be a demand letter and a breach of contract, breach of the leasing provisions.
So you think we are confident in fighting with them with the first mistake they did?
So again, if anybody will have to read that contract, I'll have to read the contract to be able to tell you whether we are confident or not. It can't be something that I could promise without looking at your lease. Okay, so if the lease does say that the garage was part of that lease or it was extended, then they had no rights there. Obviously, they are in violation then. But if they had not put that in, they had skipped putting that garage in the second extension, then that would be what we call caveat emptor, meaning the buyer beware of what's going on. So meaning whatever you sign off on, you have to be aware of what you have signed off.
Yeah, finally one thing, they always kept saying you should file your renter's insurance for this loss or damage, and we are not giving anything, or we are not responsible for your loss or damage. That's what they keep saying about it.
So leases and landlord-tenant agreements here are written. They're a little skewed in the favor of the landlord. That's how traditionally they're written. However, most of the benefits of that lease or your options that you have to arise from the document that you've signed. So that lease agreement that you have will have all the options in it. So if it has that they're not responsible for damages, it'll be hard for us to hold them to damages unless they're showing willful behavior and somebody messed up, and then you can get them outside of that lease. But most of the options for all people are tied to within the lease or the document that they've signed.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, I would like to make an appointment. So can you leave your number?
Yes. You could just even Google us, but Meetu periodically gives the number. I'll give it to you. It's 972-361-0606. That's the number to the office, and you're welcome to call, and somebody should set you up in an appointment.
All right, thanks, Pallavi. That was great.
All right. All the very best to you. And that number, once again, 972-361-0606. And the website is aluvalialaw.com. Going to our next caller, Phanisha Radio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Yeah, I am Pritpal from Connecticut.
Yeah, hi. How may I help you?
Is it Pallavi?
Yes, this is Pallavi. How may I help you?
Yes, I just want to ask a few questions about my naturalization.
Okay, go ahead, please.
And yeah, we came here on 29th September 2011 and are completing our 2.5 years in August 2000, this year, 16.
You're completing 5 years or 2.5?
5 years and our stay, 2.5 years stay in US.
Okay, so you're talking about physical presence, right? The physical presence of 2.5 years? Okay.
Yeah, in August 2016.
Okay.
So, my first question is, can we apply for our naturalization or we should wait for 29th September 2016?
No, the law allows you to apply for your naturalizations for 90 days prior to the start of the 5 years. So basically you have a 90-day window prior to completing the 5 years. The only review, however, that has to be done is that you had no stays outside of the country for over 180 days in these 5 years. So if
but this is the main reason. We stayed for 211 days for the first year, but second year we couldn't stay here for 183 days because we had some problem with mother-in-law. She was serious, and we had to stay there in India for 7 months.
Okay.
And then we got 2 years extension in 2014, and then we stayed like 8 months there in India, and we came back. And again, last year also we came back. But the main reason is whether we are eligible for to apply for naturalization.
No, you're not. So the 7 months that you stayed abroad would have been an issue, but could still be argued as a medical emergency because that was only about a month over the 180 days that you had. However, the re-entry permit, which is what you're saying, the 2-year period that you took permission to travel abroad, from the time that you had the re-entry permit done, you're eligible to apply 4 years after that for naturalization. So if you had that ending in 2014, then you have to go past into 2018 to be eligible for naturalization. Plus, then there should not have been after that no stays that were outside the country again for over 180 days. So even after that time, after the 2014 entry on the re-entry permit, if you had stays that were over 180 days that was abroad, then you have trouble again, because then you will keep getting reset on the requirement, and you'll have to build up your 5 years starting from your last entry into the country that should have been under 180 days, 3 days.
No, but okay.
Yeah.
So
the issue is,
re-entry permit doesn't allow us even to stay there abroad for more than 180 days.
now the re-entry permit allows you to stay abroad, but it doesn't make you eligible for naturalization. It lets you keep your green card, and that's the purpose of the re-entry permit. But it is not. It's going to impact your eligibility for naturalization.
Okay.
All right.
So that. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. So the 2.5 years. So it's a very good question. That's for everybody. If you're just counting your 2.5 years in your total 5 years, you've had it reset several times. So it's not counting it this way. You have to make sure that the part about you stepping out of the country for over 180 days will always reset your time, and that you'll have to establish eligibility after that.
All right.
Okay. So.
Thank you so much.
Okay, all the best to you.
All right. Thank you so much for your call. Moving on to our next caller, Phanisha Radio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, Pallavi. I have one question. I am citizen, and I want to apply for my mom and dad, and my brother is a not 18 years old. He's a 12 or 13 years old. So when I apply for mom and dad, so he can come with them, or I have to apply for him?
Yeah, you have to apply for him separately, or once they become green card holders, they can apply for him. But right now, and that may be a better way to approach it. If you were to apply for them, it will take about a year for them to come in. Your brother cannot come in as their dependent, even though he is under the age, because there is a direct relationship that he has with you. You could start off his process. You could have his I-130 pending. We know that process takes about 12, 13 years. However, your parents, once they are green card holders and they come into the country, they can apply under the F2A category. And that F2A category is just about 2 years behind. So based on that, I think your brother should be all right to come in before he turns 21 in the next maybe 2-3 years.
Okay. And when I apply, I have to mention my brother name, and I have 2 sisters also. I can put their name also, or if I don't put their name, it's okay.
No. I mean, so there would be a question on the I-130 that is talking about, who all are related, and then you can put their names there. Even if you're not sponsoring them, that's fine. You can put their names there.
Oh, but if I don't put my sister name, then in future when my mom and dad want to apply for them, is there any problem?
No, because they have to be able to prove their relationship. They do not go back to your I-130 to see if you had mentioned all your siblings or not.
Okay, thank you, Pallavi.
All the best to you.
Yes, bye.
Thank you for your call. 972-235-5555 number in the studio. To get in touch with Pallavi, you do need to take an appointment, and the number is 972-361-0606. This is Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia from Ahluwalia Law Offices. Going to our next caller, Fun Asia Radio. You are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi, please.
Yes, I have a question regarding, I am US citizen.
Okay.
And I applied for my brother and brother-sister category. But, it's in 2009, beginning of the January, I guess.
Okay.
And his son is going to be 21 this year. So can I do anything for him, or?
Well, unfortunately not. You applied in 2009. That currently the people that are getting their green cards are the ones that had applied in July of 2003. So the date is about 6 years behind, right? Behind yours. So under the Child Protection Act, if at the time that the date gets current, the NVC as well as the consulate has to calculate the date of this child who's aged out and see how long the I-130 was pending.
Oh.
Okay, and then deduct that time that was pending from his current age. So if he becomes 24 and this application had been pending 5 years, then he would be under the age of 20 and he can come in. However, if that age doesn't match and that calculation does not produce the fact that he's under 21, then he will not be able to come into the country.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you for your call. 972-235-5555 number in the studio. Going to our next caller, Fanisha Radio. You're live on the air. Please ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. This is. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a U.S. Citizen. Like before 2 years ago. Like I have a question about can I refer my cousin?
So
From
you mean
a different country?
meaning can you sponsor him? Is that the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So sponsorship, if you're talking about in an immigrant category, that does not exist for cousins. However, if you want to just invite him for him to come in as a visitor, then you can invite him and he can try and get his visa, but that would be based on his own qualifications, and that would be, of course, the reason for the visit, also his emotional ties to the home country as well as his financial strength in the home country.
Yeah, the problem is he live in a country called Bhutan.
Okay.
Like there is no U.S. embassy over there, so
Okay, so Yeah, so Bhutan.
Yeah.
So people in Bhutan, I think we've had a lot of refugees that have come in from Bhutan to the US, right?
Yeah, there is a lot, yeah.
So there should be an area where that they should be able to go to the US consulate, perhaps they should be able to use it of a nearby consulate.
Oh, okay.
So the consular responsibilities that are handed over to New Delhi for Bhutan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Bhutan's website shows, that because of the relationship with US, New Delhi is the one that handles any consular responsibility. So he'll have to go to New Delhi for the visa if he has to.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thank you for your call. Going to probably our last caller of the day, Fun Asia Radio. You're live on the air. Please go ahead and ask your question, and really quickly.
Yeah, I got a question. Like my parents is 71 years old, and he wants to apply for citizenship. So I want to know that does he get any exemption for the interview or no?
Okay, so your parents want to apply for naturalization, and they are looking for an exemption for the English language, or are we talking about civics?
Exactly, yeah. The English language, because he's 71, so.
Okay, so what depends, this will depend on how long they've been residents of the US. So if they are over 50 years old and they've been a resident for 20 years.
I've been here 5 years.
Yes, so then there are no exemptions. The exemptions only arise from, either a 20-year exemption or a 15-year exemption. So if they are 50 and they've been a resident over 20 years, then they have the English language exemption. Or if they're 55 and 15 years, then they have an exemption. So just the age alone will not give them the English language exemption.
All right. Thank you so much for your call. Really appreciate all of you waiting patiently to get in touch with Pallavi. But beyond the show, just remember that you can get in touch with the front desk manager and take an appointment and see Pallavi Ahluwalia in person. All right. With that, that's pretty much the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meethu, for hosting me so well as always. And I look forward to being back next Wednesday.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's 972-235-5555. If you didn't get a chance to ask your questions, or if you prefer a personal or private consultation with an attorney regarding immigration and naturalization law, family law, business law, contract law, or civil litigation, she can be contacted at 972-361-0606 or Pallavi at yourdesilawyer.com. Thank you for participating in their show, Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia. All the best.